Hello! In today's video, I'll be showing you how to paint a beautiful gouache bunch of florals in Procreate. So this is an artwork that I did a couple of weeks ago. We will be painting something very similar using the same color palette. Before we jump into today's video, if you are new here, I'm Harsina, an artist and illustrator based in UAE. I share both traditional and digital art in YouTube. If you are an aspiring artist or someone who enjoys watching art-related content, please subscribe to my channel and also follow me on IG at mostly.florals. In today's video, I'll be using a canvas size of 1350 pixels by 1080 pixels, and I'm very excited to use this beautiful color palette inspired by my summer clothes. I'll include a link in the description box below to the color palette. I'll also include the composition of the floral arrangements we'll be painting today, so you can download and import it into Procreate for easy painting. I will show you that in the next steps. Here's my composition with basic labeling, which I have imported into Procreate. I'll be using this as a reference for easy floral painting. I hope it helps you too. Please let me know in the comments below if it did. I'm going to double tap on this composition reference layer and reduce the opacity to about 50%. On my new layer, I'm going to start painting flower 1. For today's painting, I'll be using Lisa Glanz's gouache brush, which is one of my favorite brushes. It's a paid brush, but the brush type doesn't matter at all. Feel free to use any brush that you like. I would suggest the Studio Pen, which is one of Procreate's default brushes. I will start from the center. My brush size can be adjusted here, and I'm going to keep it at about 15%. So here I go, starting from the center, taking it all the way to the rim of the circle and painting one petal at a time. The nature of this brush is that when I paint over it, it creates a darker layer. But again, that isn't important. You may use a darker shade to do this or keep it all in a flat color. I'll still be using a darker shade with the color wheel to create hues and give the flower a bit more definition. So you work one petal at a time and in a very loose floral style with a few stripes here and there, adding some details and trying to keep it all within the circle. There is no need to strictly follow the reference layer, but it's better to keep an eye on the composition so you know exactly where to place your flowers and foliage. This way, everything will fall into place, if you know what I mean. Now I'm going to open a new layer and do the center of this flower. It's easier to edit it just in case you need to if you have it all in different layers. I'm also going to keep my already completed artwork in the left corner as a reference so I can use it for color picking. So now I'm going to go with this chrome yellow shade and paint the center of this flower. Then I'm using a light gray shade to paint some tiny details like this around the flower center. Now that I'm satisfied with this, I can merge the flower layer and the center layer together. I'm renaming the layer as flower 1. Now I'm going to start with flower 2 in a new layer. Once again, I'll be color picking and starting with the center, trying to keep it at 5 to 6 petals, one at a time. I'm using the smudge tool here with another brush from the same collection to blend the shades and give the flowers more definition. We can always use darker tones of the same shade as well. Now once again, for the center of this flower, I'm creating a new layer and using the chrome yellow shade. Just like in the previous flower, I'll be adding some details using the light gray color. Adding more tones to the flower is totally up to you. Adding tones, however, gives the flowers a better look. If you're not using a gouache brush, you can use any other brush, add darker tones on top of the lighter ones, and use the smudge tool to blend it out. It still gives almost the same effect as the gouache brush. happy with this flower, I'm merging the petals layer and the center layer just like earlier and renaming this layer as Flower 2. Okay, so now I can start with the leaves in a new layer. I'm going to open a new layer and bring it all the way below both my flower layers. Choosing the green shade, I'll start painting the leaves within these triangle-like references. They don't need to be perfectly positioned within the triangles, so I'm doing my leaf like this and drawing some leaf veins as well. You may choose a slightly darker tone using the color wheel and painting as well. Now I'm going to continue painting all the bigger leaves like this. Now, selecting the darker green tone, I'm going to add some minute details on the leaf veins to make them look a bit more obvious. First, I should alpha lock the leaves layer, then reduce the brush size and paint the details in very thin strokes, like this. And I'll continue to do this to all the leaves in here. Now I'm going to turn off the composition layer to see how it looks. It looks great so far. Now I'll quickly rename the leaves layer. In a new layer, I'm going to start painting the little flowers. These are quite easy to paint. I paint some larger dot-shaped to heart-shaped petals with minimal details, mostly keeping them at 5 petals per flower. It's fun to paint these, so I'm continuing to paint all the little flowers in this beige tone. Now using the dark green tone, I'm going to do the centers with just basic centers and a few dots. In a new layer, I'm doing the same flowers using a light peach shade, exactly the same way as I did before, followed by the centers in an orange shade and some tiny teeny dots using a red shade. You may also use darker tones for these flowers if you want to give them those extra effects, but I'm going to just leave them simple like this. Just in case you want to adjust the positioning of any flowers, you may use the selection tool like this and the freehand option to select, cut, and paste. In a new layer beneath the leaves layer, I'm going to add the foliage. I'll be using the dark green tone to do it, just painting some simple strokes and leaves. I'll make sure to keep the brush strokes light, maintaining a loose floral style. Once again, you can always use darker tones of the same shade to add some color variations, so make sure to alpha lock the layer and do it, just like this. I'm also using the smudge tool in here to smudge out some areas of the leaves, just to give it a blend and better shading. Now finally, I'm creating a layer underneath all these previous layers and painting thin strokes using the light green shade. Using the reference, I'm filling in all the required gaps according to the composition. Then, selecting the burnt orange shade, I'm painting buds like seeds in a cone-shaped feature, just filling them in like this. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's very simple and fun. Once I'm done filling everything in, I'm turning off my reference illustration and the composition layer. The artwork looks really pretty and I'm just in love with how it all looks put together. This is definitely one of my favorite color palettes, I'd say. So here's my final illustration. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel Mostly Florals, and tap the notifications bell icon so you get notified every time I post a new video. You can also connect with me on Instagram at mostly.florals. I'll see you guys in another video. Until then, take care and happy creating!